number 2-15 of the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada. President in Carson City.
Rebecca Wagner.
Dave Noble.
And I'm Linda Burtonshaw in Las Vegas. Item 1A is time for comments from the general public on topics that pertain to items on this agenda. I have one card. Are there any cards in the north?
I do. I have a card from Mr. Bolts.
Okay. Let me go ahead and read it then. Pursuant to NRS 241.020, a period of public comment is allowed at the beginning of the meeting before any items on which action may be taken or heard by the commission, and again before the adjournment of the meeting. In order to conduct this meeting in an orderly, efficient, and dignified manner, public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker without regard to the number of entities or affiliations represented. Prepared comments may be introduced into the written record upon request. Comments made during this comment period are restricted to topics pertaining to items on the agenda. And we welcome comments from all persons, but recognize that we receive evidence through a formal process. The hearings or investigations, matters discussed at the agenda have been conducted in draft orders, remember and prepared on the basis of the record at the hearing on the final results of staff's investigations. I need to work on this thing for the administrative agenda, so just bear with me. So
We're supposed to have that done, sorry.
I know, no, it's my fault. We've just been kind of jammed up the last couple of days. So comments, members of the public desiring to comment, please state your name on the record. Comments shall only address topics that are related to within the authority of the commission. Speakers shall not repeat prior comments made during the agenda, and comments limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Cannot be transferred to another speaker, and when the 3 minutes is ended, the individual must stop speaking. So, Mr. Bolts in the north.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Fred Bolts. Regarding personnel appointments addressed in NRS 701.130 and the subject of item 2A on today's agenda, a material legal compliance problem has surfaced because of non-noticed, non-agendized, and unilateral actions taken by the Commission's Executive Director. Without any statutory authority, the Executive Director suddenly announced to a Joint Finance Committee public meeting on February 16th she had invented the new position of Deputy Director. The appointment was never vetted by this Commission, and an organizational pecking order falls between the Executive Director and the Commission Secretary, both requiring Commission review and approval in an open and public hearing appropriately noticed under NRS 703.130 Section 5. This statute does not mention the existence of a Deputy Director. There has also been no notice public hearing at this Commission regarding the appointment of a new Assistant Commission Secretary, also statutorily required and obviously necessary if the Commission approves the Executive Director's request for the current Assistant Commission Secretary's promotion today. For meeting economy, why wouldn't the Commission Secretary and Assistant Commission Secretary recommendations have been placed on the same agenda by the Executive Director? Thank you.
Can I have a card in Las Vegas, Mr. Fazio?
Angel DeFazio for the record. I went through and saved every administrative agenda notice from July of 2013. And guess what? There was never anything mentioned about Mrs. Skau being elevated to Deputy Executive Director as she was introduced to the February 16th Budget Committee. Did Mrs. Jackson do an oopsie and take it upon herself to promote Mrs. Skau and neglect to have it discussed in an open public meeting? One would extrapolate that since this is an elevation in position and there is no statute for the PUC currently to allow this job creation, why was it done? Just when was this done or noticed? As Mrs. Jackson was extremely emphatic that the PUC is holding open and public meetings about administrative issues. Isn't human resource issues an administrative item with executive positions? Also, with this new deputy position, I see there's been no change in your department listing for this position. So are you planning to do an update after you rubber stamp this promotion and list Mrs. Skau as deputy and Mrs. Potter as secretary? Yet here today we have an agenda item of Mrs. Potter being promoted to Commission Secretary. So in the interim, just who is going to be Assistant Commission Secretary? Or are these just titles with the same workload with the covert goal to jack up their salaries in anticipation of passing SB 46? Thank you.
Hey, Chairman, before we go into this, I would just like Ms. Tanner in General Counsel's office to look into the veracity of the statements, or accuracy of the statements, I should say, made by Mr. Bolton and Ms. Fazio. This is not consistent with the recollection that or the practice of the commission. So if you could provide to me in a briefing memo what the actual facts are around that, because I just want to kind of revisit my understanding since we made these changes, 2005 session or something like that. So could you look into that for me and just let me know so I can refresh my memory? I appreciate that. Sorry, Chairman, thank you.
No problem. Ms. Jackson?
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. This item today is for your approval to designate Ms. Potter as the Commission Secretary effective June 2nd, with transition and training to begin immediately. Ms. Skau has advised that she will retire effective June 1st. The transition and training for this position is critical while Ms. Skau is still employed with the Commission. There are at least 19 different state-required fiscal and management system training requirements, along with training of internal accounting, fiscal management systems, human resource management practices and procedures, and the rules and laws of personnel administration. The Commission Secretary reports directly to the Executive Director and acts in the absence of the Executive Director. The Commission Secretary also manages the Fiscal Services Division, which includes fiscal, human resources, information technology, and the Commission's electronic filings and records management system. As you can see from Ms. Potter's resume, she has been with the Commission since 2006, and during that time she has held progressively responsible positions. She also has a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration degree from the University of Phoenix. Her education experience and historical knowledge of the Commission make her an excellent choice. And pursuant to the statute referenced on the agenda notice, this designation must be approved by the Commission. So it is noticed today for your action.
Any questions or comments?
The only comment that I would make is that I think Bree has demonstrated that she is not only up for this, but she will do an excellent job, and I'm really glad to see that you're willing to take this on. And I'm really proud of you and your successes over the last several years. So I think it's great. So all I have to say about that.
I have no questions or comments.
Well, I'm with Commissioner Wagner. Thanks for taking it on, and good luck. So, I would move that we accept the Executive Director's designation of Brianne Potter as Commission Secretary effective June 2nd, 2015.
Concur. Or second.
All right. Item 2B.
Thank you, Chairman. I do just have one additional item, and I would just like to thank Ms. Skau for her many years of service to the Commission. She has been here quite a long time. She's been a very reliable, dedicated, and loyal employee. And I'd just like to wish her the very best with her upcoming retirement. It is well deserved, and she will be greatly missed.
And I completely agree with those statements, and I envy her early departure.
I would second that. I think she'll give her a hand. And I'm jealous too, Donna. Okay, item 3A is time for comments from the general public. Anyone in Carson City?
Yeah, we have end comments from Mr. Bolts.
Mr. Waltz?
Yes, there are 4 questions for the Executive Director this afternoon. First, what steps has the Commission management taken since the last administrative agenda meeting to mitigate the enormous uncollected fine problem that has festered for at least 1 year? Second, what compelling business reasons exist for the commission to require and ratepayers to subsidize both a deputy director position, even for a few months, and an assistant commission secretary, given the small size of the commission relative to other state agencies? Third, if the commission truly conducts its business in an open and public process, why has the executive director disrespected the legislature and the public she is bound to serve by failing to provide answers to budget questions raised on February 16th in a public forum? And the fourth question is, what well-run organization promotes somebody for 3 months or less to another position? Is that to boost the retirement payment?
Mr. Bowles, this is not a cross-examination.
Well, I'm asking the questions.
This is not a question and answer session, this is public comment.
It's a question, I'm putting it out in public comment.
Fair enough.
The legislative intent of the state's open meeting law is to foster public input and have public servants dialogue with constituents who pay their salaries, not ignore legitimate questions as if they are too important to justify their actions and management choices. Thank you.
Mr. Fazio?
Angel DeFazio for the record. Why in less than a month did Mrs. Skau go from a promotion to retirement? Questionable. Since our utility fees are being used to furnish your expenses via the mill tax, we think you should do what you tell us to do, i.e. reduce energy use. You keep telling us to conserve energy, yet here you sit 40 hours a week in the comfort of either air conditioning or heat that the ratepayers have to monitor to reduce overhead. So since you are promoting this, then do it also. According to your website, you want us to enact the following. Well, we expect you to set an example. I quote, Nevada law requires natural gas and electric utilities to implement conservation plans that include programs and incentives to encourage consumers to conserve energy. These plans must be approved by the PUCN. Recommendation: in warm months, set the thermostat to 78 degrees or higher when home and 90 when no one is home. So when you are at your offices, we want these temps to be the standard. We have no intention of keeping you being nice and either cool or warm on our dime. You're not special and exceptions to the advice. This will reduce one of your budget items, economize commission, energy reduction savings. Since there are thermostats in the public meeting rooms, we'll be monitoring your adherence to your published suggestions. As you can install ceiling fans to reduce energy use and increase air circulation, as it's freezing in here now. No excuses, stop preaching and set an example. Thank you.
That was the final part in Las Vegas. We're adjourned.
We should have air conditioning here.